Hello. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, wherever you're located. Thank you. Welcome, everybody, to this webinar. TCN's webinar, we're going to be discussing how to navigate your transition to TCN. And this webinar is specifically focusing on reporting and as well as the business intelligence aspect of the migration. So let's take a quick look at the agenda. So we're going to do a couple of introductions. But before that, we do the introductions. We'll do the introductions, and then we're going to also do a poll. And this poll is designed to help shape. We're going to be doing a series of webinars, and we wanted to help get your feedback on helping shape these webinar series topics as it pertains to the current Finvi and TCN integration, and as well as how we might be able to help facilitate future topics. After that, we're going to dive into a look at the Finvi and TCN integration as it looks now, and then as well as look at the BI and reporting aspects and how it relates to your Finvi instance and how that will look in conjunction with TCN. So if you have questions during the webinar, just please add them to the Q&A just as a reminder, and we will get to them. In this webinar, we aim to address the specific common concerns and challenges surrounding BI, and as well as that's available for, and as well as what's available when integrated with TCN. So with OmniVoice end of life coming up at the end of the year, which is only a few months away, we want to dive into everything you might want to know, both from the TCN and Finvi side. Our session presenters today for this webinar consist of Dave Beathers, Vice President of Product at TCN. Dave has been with TCN since the early days and is considered an industry veteran, having played a huge role in helping TCN's operator become what it is today, with a focus on product development, client success, and continuous feedback from clients using TCN solutions. Dave has been at the forefront of the contact center software solution. Next, we have Mike Borden, who is a senior engineer and implementation specialist at TCN. And Mike is, you guys are letting me not do my job very well, but there's their pictures. Mike is a problem solver at heart. He blends technical expertise with real-world solutions, helping clients and customers implement TCN's cutting-edge technology. And after majoring in computer science, Mike went on to work for years in the realm of IT and has dedicated much of his career to providing consumers with technology solutions. Thank you, Mike. And we're pleased finally to have Scott Miller, a solutions architect at Finvi. He's been with Finvi for 18 years and has experience in the revenue cycle industry. Scott's principal responsibilities include several critical areas, working with our leadership team, with Finvi's leadership team, to ensure a seamless onboarding process and onboarding success for our clients, in addition to collaborating with industry leaders to identify emerging trends in process and technology. He also, and this is why he's here, he has extensive experience integrating TCN solutions into Fax, Artiva RM, Artiva HCX, along with the TCN team. So we have these experts here, and we're excited for what they have in store for us today. But as I mentioned before, I want to do a poll. And let me, you know what? I lost my window.
Don't worry, McKay's in marketing. He's not a developer.
Here it goes. Sorry, let me launch this poll. I did practice this at one point. You think I had not. Here we go. So you should see that poll up on your screen now. And but this poll is designed, as I mentioned before, we wanted to do a series of topics throughout the end of the year. And we want to hear from you, regardless of where you are in the implementation process of TCN and what topics you'd like to see covered. But I think this is going to help shape the series and what we'd like to see from all of, from the TCN team as well as the Finvi team. So just take a minute, I'll leave it open for a little bit longer to respond. If something's not listed, please respond to the other and put that in that second box there.
Okay, is that showing yet?
Oh, did it not go up? Oh, there it is. I failed to click the button.
Yeah, there it is. Perfect.
There it is. So please, so I will leave it open actually a little bit longer, but please take a minute to respond. We really do appreciate your feedback as we look at these different topics. So yeah, appreciate, we're actually seeing quite a few responses come in right now. So I'll just leave this up for another minute or so. I know regardless, I've already mentioned this, but like regardless of where you are in the process and migrating and, moving Omni or whatever the case may be in your situation, I think it's really important to address some of these common challenges or common questions. And so these webinars are really just going to be designed to help us hone in and answer some of these questions for you in a manner that's meaningful. So we will, I think that's about it. I think we'll just close it there. I think that's about a minute. This is great, you guys. We're up over 50% participation, so we actually still have questions or responses coming in. Yep, a few more. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close the poll now so that we can actually move on and just dive into the meat of the topic today. Let me stop this poll here. Thank you, everybody. Again, that helps us tremendously. We really appreciate that. And Mike, from here, I think we will pass things over to you and as well as to the rest of the panel to cover our topic.
Thanks, McKay. So
Yep.
we're looking at McKay's screen, which has a slide presented to us. My goal today was to quickly, to give Dave as much time as possible, go through where the current TCN integration sits and kind of give you an idea, make sure that everybody understands where the moving parts reside and what we're trying to accomplish. So a lot of the integration has been done with the Exile and SATI process that TCN has built out as middleware to communicate between the TCN system and the Finvi systems, the ground apps as well as Velocity. We are going to work with that integration to allow you to have TCN ingests the pools so we can get the data out of the Finvi systems so that we can create and schedule campaigns within the TCN system. And TCN can handle a variety of types of communications. We have been doing this for 2.5 decades. So any type of outbound calls or digital communications you're looking for will work within TCN. The integration also allows us for near real-time reporting, not the reporting that Dave's going to get into. Dave's going to get into some higher level, some pretty reports, some business intelligence. But the TCN system with this integration will be able to transmit data back into the call log table. So any reports that you have existing in the ground apps based on that call log table still should work. Some of the reports Dave's going to look at are penetration reports and task reports and agent reports that may not be based off of that table that TCN does have the information on. Our integration is also going to allow us to work through an IVR process. We can do basic lookups, but we can also do reading tables. We can look up specific fields. We can even execute logic blocks or custom scripts. So where you may have a complex, high-level built-out payment IVR, TCN can facilitate that. We can also ramp up a simple payment IVR very quickly, or we can just do a basic inbound call flow. You want a call to come in, you want to check what time of the day it is, you want to look up that phone number in your current system and display some information to the agent, or more importantly, open the account when the call gets to an agent by them clicking on Get Next. That's what the integration allows us to do. That back and forth communication, that back and forth data transmission. Now, TCN as a system does have some pretty substantial compliance measures in place. They are fully customizable to fit your specifications, which I believe later this month we're having a more in-depth webinar about. And we did go through, with Scott's help actually, to write up a baseline compliance rule set that is comparable to what you would have got in the ground apps. So we've really worked in tandem with the Finvi team to make sure that your transition from GC or Omni is as seamless as possible. It may not be apples to apples, but we're all still fruit. The integration does allow for click to call, and that works for a variety of different applications within the ground apps. The ability to look up account and just a manual call, but also the ability, if you have the most recent patch on Artiva and a upcoming one on Fax, to actually work your personal queues or to do those timed callbacks. Because realistically speaking, that's all they are. It's a presentation of an account or a record, and then a click to dial in TCN. The fact that the integration already allows for that API process into the TCN system and the control of the agent interface means that will be applicable as well. The last bullet point does mention all other TCN features which are automatically enabled. So if McKay goes to the next slide, you will see kind of what those features encompass. Now, again, everything you see in the TCN system itself is built by TCN. There's a lot of pieces to the puzzle, and as TCN clients, you have the ability to pick and choose which pieces you really want to utilize. Ingesting the data, ingesting the pools from the ground apps and from Artiva and Fax, that's already in list management services and list management systems. The exile entry points, if you've seen them yet, and the generation of the P3 campaigns, you've dipped your toe into LMS, but it can do a lot more if you want to look into that. The compliance suite, the automation of the scrub list and the no call list throughout the day that comes over from Finvi, that takes into account our NLC, our compliance rules, and that baseline rule set that we've worked with Finvi to develop will also utilize natural language compliance. The voice and conversational analytics is part of our workforce engagement, which is made up of workforce optimization and workforce management. It's a lovely product that will record every conversation, transcribe every conversation, allow you to search and filter and sort and score every conversation. While also, if you wish to take advantage of our workforce management, you can do forecasting and scheduling. I did mention other types of communications. Our digital channels do exist within TCN natively: SMS, email, and web chat. Those can be found and used within our OmniBoss application. So if you do log into TCN, you click on your 9 little dots, you should have access to OmniBoss. Not that you have anything set up initially, but that is something that is available. And that can be worked out with your account management team here at TCN. We are getting data from the Finvi system, so we can begin generating outbound communications. We just need to work through with you what parts of the reporting and information is coming back into that call log table and what else would be maybe more of a batch process. I did mention the inbound IVRs. I know we've worked with some clients building out some extensive payment IVRs, but TCN also offers some more streamlined, simplified payment IVRs, but we also just offer IVRs where you can have a daytime introduction, an after hours introduction. You can have different call routing in place. You can even do skill based routing based on information we do have access to. We have the ability to look up an account in Artiva and, depending on one of those fields, determine if it goes to a specialty group or a generic group. That's all things that work within TCN in our system as not necessarily part of the integration, but as just a TCN functionality. What you want to understand is, now that you've opened the door, now that you've utilized TCN, we get that data transmission, we get that communication back and forth, but you now get everything that's built into TCN at your fingertips. Today's webinar, though, specifically, we're going to dive into the operator business intelligence. As I mentioned, we do have data going back in near real time to the call log table, but that definitely doesn't trickle down to every single report you are accustomed to having in Artiva and Fax. So what Dave's going to take you through is reporting, business intelligence reporting, lots of business intelligence reporting. You will want to keep in mind that every agent that logs into TCN, every communication that occurs on TCN, we track. It's very big brotherish, but that also means that we have tons of data points that, if you have a need for them, are accessible to you. So I was just doing a high level understanding of where the integration sits today and what you have access to. If you do have more questions about the integration and how it compares to what you're doing today on Omni or GC or other options, please do reach out to your account management team. Everything I described here is really on TCN because it's built into our system, but we will obviously work with Scott and the team over at Finvi to make sure that your understanding of the data transmission and what parts are controlled within the Finvi interface and what parts are controlled within TCN makes sense to everyone. Dave has a great presentation and he's a big fan of data analysts, so I'm going to turn it over to him and stop talking at this point.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Appreciate it. Let's see if I can share my screen here. I'll show you something. I'll just start off with showing you something that is pretty, should be pretty familiar to most of you. And it's some of the reporting that you're used to. I get a great opportunity to float in and out of the process with our clients that are transitioning over to TCN, where I can come in and just really talk about the reporting and really talk about the goal of what TCN's business intelligence is, and that really is to help enable. Like we obviously want to make that transition smooth. So one of the first questions that I typically get is, where do I access the reports that I need to continue to operate in the way that we're operating? So Mike talked about how all the call logs are coming back into your Finvi products. Those are still there. You can still create the reporting that you need to create. But the questions that are most frequently asked about are, how do I access my 15-minute reports, agent call statistics reports, or collector call statistics reports? So these may seem pretty familiar to you in this format. We do have a couple differences because we absolutely want to give you the exact information that you've been accustomed to. But we are going to enhance that a little bit. We want to make it easy to use, easy to access. We want to be able to, again, allow you to continue the work that you've been doing, but we also want to give you more capabilities. Our goal is to enable, identify, and empower you with the reporting tools that we have, and also to be an opportunity in this process to be a consultant to you. Myself, Mike, your individual teams, from the sales rep to the account managers, those team members have worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of contact centers, of debt collectors, of different BPOs, whatever the case may be. And really, we have a pretty good understanding of what most people would like to see, and we can quickly and readily identify when things are a little outside that norm. So it's a great opportunity not only to migrate and transition over to a new process. It's also a great opportunity to say, hey, here's what we have access to now. And so together we can help open that up a little more and give you more visibility into your contact center, and hopefully help you identify some things that you'd like to proceed with and improve upon. So I'm going to start this. I'm going to navigate you through TCN's business intelligence. And what you're seeing here, this is an example of a dashboard. In TCN Operator, we have all of our pinwheel that Mike showed you, the different products, the different services that we offer. They're organized not as a pinwheel here, but in this menu, this 3x3 menu, showing the different areas that we cover. The fantastic thing about business intelligence is this is already integrated into the system. It doesn't have to be plugged in or turned on. When you're using TCN, all that data is readily accessible, and it's just there. So having that data from not only calls, not only agents, but also getting into the other services, as Mike talked about, the other channels of communication, whether it's SMS, email, or web chat, or whether you're getting into data or information on workforce engagement, which could be quality or risk management, and even scheduling and adherence tools. All of that is available in business intelligence as various data sources. I'll get into that in just a moment. Again, this is a dashboard. You can have as many dashboards as you want, and those dashboards contain insights, which are either tables or charts or graphs, focusing on certain key information that would be helpful to you and your staff. The beauty about this is that you can have this also as a default landing page for whatever user you want. So if your particular user is a dialer manager, they're going to have a specific dashboard that they just log in and go to. And so when they log in, it's there. It's you don't have to click 2 or 3 times to get to it. It's there with readily pertinent information to them. Now, Mike gives me a hard time because I like a lot of data. I like to see a lot of things, but with our clients, we try to focus on 2 or 3 things, or exception reports, or things that just jump off the page and help you do your job in a quick manner, whether it's reaching performance metrics, or whether it's exceptions that come up that need to be addressed pretty quickly. That's the goal, is we want to give you and your team the specific dashboard with specific key performance indicators and metrics that help them do their job, help them do what they're tasked to do. Let me zoom in a little bit on some of these things. So I'm going to go through a couple of these things from some of the reports that you're used to. We're asked pretty frequently, how do we keep track of dialer penetration? How do we look from OmniVoice and go to TCN to where we make sure we can see that we're keeping up with the throughput, the output of dialing, in order to keep our agents, our staff busy? How do we measure that? And so I'll first go to an insight that is called business segmentation by task group. Basically, it's a pool segmentation or pool breakdown. So where I have the word business segmentation, and I'll zoom in quite focused so that we can see this, but this will show you by pool and by call type, whether it's inbound, outbound, manual, or a preview campaign, the different types of dialing that we offer. It will allow you to keep track of your pools. Now, this is dummy information. This is on my test account. I'm also going to roll in some data from active clients that's obfuscated so that I can share you, and I'm not disclosing any information, but normally you'd see some of your pool breakdown, days of your age dates of your debt, or whatever the case may be. So you'd be grouped appropriately. You're going to see task count, which is the amount of individual records that you're uploading as a pool. So you can see how many are loaded in a given day. You're going to see attempts. You're going to see individual counts of customer phone numbers. And these are all, you can sort them and search them. And there's also definitions for these available in our Learning Center that's just right here on the side of the page that gives you additional information on this. We also have a large language model built into here. So if there's a specific term you want to see, you can just go ahead and query that and have that give you some information there. And the definition. So we're really trying to give you full access to your own data. And in fact, I'll show you how that data comes in and becomes a part of this. But step one is, how do we keep doing what we've been doing on our previous system? So we've got various versions of reporting to help you with that process and to help you be efficient and effective. and maintain progress and to know what's happening on TCN. I won't go through all the KPIs here, but so the first one would be some kind of a dialing report or a call statistic report showing most of the statistics that you're accustomed to. The next report would be, well, let's go here first. We've got things that help you identify the call flow by day, or how you're doing on a daily basis, how you're doing on a pool basis. Some of the call and contact center statistics that you're used to understanding: abandonment rate, inbound or outbound abandonment rate, wait, talk, wrap up, handle time, how long your team's been logged in, how long have they been logged in on call or production durations, pause durations, and then we can come up with some occupancy statistics or utilization statistics, as well as reach rates. How many times are you calling each record, those types of things. Again, I know I keep expanding further than what you've had before with some of the charts and graphs that are available to help you track and manage and see what's happening in Mike said near real time. So most of these reports are going to be within 5 minutes. So I know you've got a 15-minute version that you're used to, but these reports are populated within 5 minutes. So that's not too bad, not too shabby for having this at fingertip access. Let me zoom out a little bit more here. So you could have different ones that are by day or by hour to see what your production is. Breakdowns on call types and results that are happening. Let's go to this one. This one I've just got 5 demo agents here, but this would be your agent call statistics report replacement. We've got a couple versions of this, and it's really easy to modify this to what you want to see. But you see here that I have the agent name. We'll include the agent ID that's your Finvi ID. But we've got a pool, or what we call our hunt groups assignments. We've got how many times they've logged in, what their duration of login time for the period is. We've got calls per hour, first login, most recent login, session, total calls by call type, time in various states. So Mike did talk about the transparency and the granularity of what we can see what your agents are doing. We know what state of readiness they're in, or what state the call is in, whether it's being transferred, whether they're preparing to dial it, how long that takes on average and in aggregate, and really can help identify places where, frankly, where some of your agents are hiding out and taking unapproved breaks. We also have break durations and times, and so you can, using our agent gateway portal, you can have your agents code what the purpose of their break is. And so whether that's a managerial or approved time, whether it's training or a meeting, that can be identified as one type of pause. Or if it's a personal break or a lunch or something of that nature, that can be identified as another type of pause. And we can use those in utilization or occupancy calculations to really help you identify training needs or areas where some agents just need a little bit more attention. So this might seem overwhelming. Mike's quick to point out that I kind of do that. I overwhelm our clients sometimes. But the point being is working directly with your team, your TCN team, we can quickly personalize this to what you want to track. It's as simple as clicking on hide or view on each of these columns if they're useful to you, or if they're not useful to you or to your colleagues. The granularity of these agents, let me just show you. I can come to an agent, and as a dialer manager, I can see something that might fill off, or just walking the floor, I can tell that my agent is off and they're just not getting the throughput. that I'm expecting. So I can just drill down into a particular agent. And let's go to an agent that's actually got a little bit more usage in here. Let's try Eric. But for the given time period, this is going to show me a timeline. So I can see everything that that particular agent did. They were in wrap up for 2 hours and 45 minutes. That is not acceptable, right? So you can see visually very quickly how this can help you identify agent performance. And I'll get into another whole section on agent performance here. But let's kind of proceed through that table. So the short answer is we're going to work with you to make sure you have a version of the statistics and the metrics that you need to operate. After we've done that, we're going to expand on that and help you take advantage of other tools and capabilities that are in the system and available for you to just select and enjoy and personalize to your needs. Let me go into this list here. This is a list of insights that I have that are just queued up over the past couple weeks. These are insights that I've gone to pretty frequently and readily for different reasons. This is your pool breakdown on dialing. We've got some clients that are working with other voice providers or transitioning from other voice providers. I think some of these were from LiveVox, and so we've got specific reports that they're used to that have been built for them to have business continuity and to just continue from when they switch off one dialer, they go to ours. They can have those metrics readily for their consumption, whether it's on a dashboard or whether we're sending those back via SFTP or some other API. With the Finvi case, that's all built in and that's being handled well. If you look at some of the titles of these reports, we've got call detail reports. So every single call attempt and what happens on each of those calls, which agents they're interacting with, any metrics that are associated with the metadata on those calls. We've got breakdown by client in 2 different type weights here. This is just a sampling, but we've got daily recording metadata. So some of the clients want to see those recordings be stored for an extended period of time. We can do that on TCN, or if you want to offload those, we can also send you metadata associated with those calls. We've got exception reports in here, an import CDR for fax. We've got a IVR payment report. Well, 2. So we've got an IVR report and then an IVR Finvi payment report. I think I've got one of these pulled up. Let's see what this one is. So this is a LiveVox version where they just needed us to keep each of the individual columns that they're used to, but have TCN's equivalent. So not only have we done that with other providers, but we've also done that with obviously Finvi, where we have the termination codes is just an example. One of these columns might be termination codes, where with OmniVoice, it's mapped this way with the 2-digit code or the 2-character code. And then we have TCN's equivalent of what that means. So we've gone through that process and mapped that out so it comes back in your system. But there's a whole wealth of additional information that we have available in business intelligence for you for even, for example, TCN result codes. I think there's maybe 40 of those. Some of those are including which are available on both systems, but blocked parties and blocked calls so that you can keep track of your phone number management, the numbers that are pulsed to the consumer or the debtor. And you can see if you need to adjust some of those call IDs or do some management with a caller ID provider to get those unblocked. So let's go to the next example. Actually, just real quick, I'm going to show you, this is a behind the scenes look. This is how easy it is. If you don't use some of these tools or some of these columns, they can simply be hidden. very quickly. So if there's information that just doesn't need, it just doesn't apply to you or the team member that we're building a particular dashboard for, then we just remove it or we reorder it very quickly. If you have a question on what something means, this is the back end, and now this can be really overwhelming if you let it, but our BI is based off of SQL code, if you think about it, and SQL processing, data processing and transformations, but we have data sources. So a data source is the initial starting point of a particular pipeline, and that pipeline has different nodes, and the different nodes do things. So they're transforming the data as it comes through. So I'm going to back up here. I'm going to click on all calls data. So my all calls data is showing me, oh, I don't know, 50 different columns of metadata associated with each and every call. It shows things such as the task group name or the campaign that was used to dial with. It's got durations in there. It's got timestamps and all sorts of things in there. So each one of these data sources has different information. This one would be my agent call information. These are not great agent names, I realize that, but on my test account that I can show you the behind the scenes with. So this would show all the durations that are associated with an individual agent and what happens when that agent participates and what they're doing. We have agent responses. So if the agent is coding a call, I guess this was during some political times, I guess. So we'll skip that one. But then these would just be different data sources. So I can add a new data source and combine that. If for example, you said, I need a CDR, I need a call detail report that shows me all calls that have certain characteristics, but that also were right party. And so you want a right party call detail report that just shows you every single right party that you spoke with on that particular day for a particular agent. Well, I can come in and I can grab certain characteristics or certain data sources that would help me construct that or add to something that I already have existing. So I have, these are all data sources. And if I click on, let's click on, oh, what do I want to click on? Let's do an agent session pause data source. So I click on this agent session pause data source, and I can see what the primary field is. So some unique identifier, in this case, it's an agent state. That's every time the agent changes state, it's going to have an ID and it's going to have a lot of metadata associated with it. And here's all the other fields that come with that. So I can see that by clicking on agent session pause, it has a pause reason as one of the columns in there. If I click on that pause reason, it will be able to give me information about what's inside that field, and then I can just click add. So let's see. So there's my new pause data code. And again, I'm in a demo account, not the greatest. So I'm going to back up and I'm going to include the last 30 days. And so these are when my agent went on pause. And so with one data source, just by highlighting one data source, this is bringing in every single time the agent went on pause. And it's showing me when the pause reason was. It's showing me the start time, the end time, and the pause reason. And then I can do various things with that data as I'm going forward. So I know there's a lot of other noise in here and nodes in here, but I'm just clicking on this pause data source. And if I want to, I can come in here and do any transformation with that particular data source. You don't have to do this. I'm going to be very clear. You can use our standard reporting. You can ask your account managers like Mike to get in and produce something for you, or you can have a consultation with me and we'll produce what you want. But there are some of you that are power users and you really want to jump in and do it yourself. everything that I'm showing you, you have full access to do yourself if you want to give that control to some of your employees. So in this case, I'm just going to do a simple group, and I want to see all the pause results or the pause reasons. So I'm going to group by pause reason, and I want to do a count. So very simple, pause reason. So now I've got the original data source with, what do we have here? 4 different pause reasons for the time period that I'm looking at. And then I've just grouped it by pause reason, and I get a count of pause reason. So that's exactly what's happening behind the scenes with each of our pipelines that I'm going to show you here, with each of the insights. Every single one of these insights have that capability in the background to quickly modify and refine what it is you're after and what it is that you want to see. I need to go quickly through some of these other examples so we can get to some questions. I'm just going to show you some of the other dashboards to kind of show you capability. This is a call compliance demo. One of the questions that comes up is, can we see what the agents are coding the calls as? And one of the things that we're focused on with the integration is to bring back RPC counts. So we can count RPCs in BI, and we can show you when those happen and by which agent. And those are also used for compliance rules as well. This is an example. A lot of our clients want to know, hey, how do I handle 7 and 7? So simply put, I choose 7 days. This is just one example, and I can see how many individual calls have been, how many individual customers or consumers or phone numbers have been called more than 7 times in 7 days. And you can see in this example, I do have 8 attempts in 7 days, but you'll notice that 100% of these attempts were invalid. You can also see pretty quickly that if you look at both machine result or the answered link call result, which is connecting to an agent, you can see that there are diminishing returns with each subsequent reattempt. Actually, there's a little bit of, this goes really small here, and then on the next day it goes larger here. So that's kind of fascinating to see that over, and you could expand this over time and not just be 7 and 7, but you could study subsequent attempts over time and see how that happens. Down here, this is an example of the individual scrub rules or the kill rules or the compliance rules that are preventing subsequent calls to go out in a given time period. And this is on a live account. I've just got it obfuscated. So we're seeing that there were 71 times for this time period where deny outbound calls more than 1 time in 16 hours, having a result in answered or answered hang up, answered, just anything that contains the word answered in it is occurring, so that we're making sure that you stay in compliance. Down here, this shows you an exception report. So we're grouping by individual consumer's phone number and by attempt. So how many times have you called each phone number? So 15,000 times in the past 7 days, you've called 15,000 unique phone numbers 1 time. You've called 3 phone numbers 8 times. Well, I can see right away that the results are turning out as invalid, but I want to take a deeper dive into that. So we do have drill down reporting as well. So I can see that these are obfuscated customer phone numbers. They're not the real phone numbers, but we can see that I'm calling them. These 3 phone numbers have been called 8 times in the past 7 days, but I can rest assured that they were coded as invalid each and every time. So there's no risk to your contact center in that case. I'll show you a couple more things down here. This would just be each and every single rule or reason why you had a compliance scrub. And so that can be a line item just to make sure things are running well and appropriate, and that your rules are the rules that you want, or if you need to make some adjustments to that. I'll zip through a couple more of these things. This is a dashboard called Agent Performance. So this shows all the agents' time and the different states of what they're doing. I've actually drilled down into this a little bit into a pause reason. So if you're taking advantage of those pause codes in our system, which I think is one of the best things that you could do for absolutely zero increased cost to know what your agents are doing with their pause time and to be able to know if that's appropriate or inappropriate pause time. It shows how that's being broke out. Then you can see you could do a drill down from the pie chart down into a table, but I just put these side by side so that you can kind of see how that works with the drill down. So we have a high degree of transparency into what the agents are doing in each state they're in, and this could be applied to one agent. So you could put a filter on this and look into each agent and see how their day is being spent and have some great understanding of what they're doing. This is an example where I'm just drilling into pause codes, or sorry, well, let's go up here. So here I'll drill into manual. So one example is you can see if I click on manual as a call state, it's broken up into preparing to place the manual call and starting the call, and then the ringing time that happens into that. And I can see that 82% of that agent's manual time is in manual dial prepared. That's keying in the 10-digit phone number. So I could take I could take a look at specific agents and see what their average time in manual dial prepared is. There's no reason why that should take longer than 20 seconds. So if that's taking 5 minutes, we've helped other agencies find thousands of dollars being spent where agents are just hiding out in manual dial prepared. And you can't tell because it looks like they're staying busy, but we can tell. Down here at the bottom, this is just a pause breakout. So this is a pause reason breakout of why they went on pause and when. And then it all says Bob Jones, but these are all individual agents. So I can click on a specific agent and have a pause report for that agent showing every single time they've logged out. I got to get faster at cutting through some of these. With your agent portal, when your agent logs into TCN, I know there's a lot of, they can go right back to your Finvi application and work directly from there. But in that agent portal, there's also an opportunity, if you so choose, to share some statistics with that agent. So they can see their own KPIs if you want them to. They can also see if you want to share colleagues and help them understand where they stand in the pecking order. Are they the top 10 agents? Are they on the list or not? And then you can also help them see their own timeline. So visually, not just the dialer manager. Imagine this, the dialer manager can see this and see visually where they need to spend their time and spend their attention with which agents are, who's exploiting the pauses, who's doing things that they should or shouldn't be doing. You can find those things out immediately, but imagine putting that back onto the agent and saying, well, here's your view. You can see your own timeline. Do I even have to talk to you about this, or are you going to self-correct? So huge time savers, huge money savers, and ROI return on that. This insight is just an example of different channels. So this would be inbound calls, outbound calls, manual dial calls, SMS messages that are inbound, SMS messages that are outbound. So you can track all those things and track metrics in tables or charts or graphs as you want. Hide those things so that you can tell the story that you want to tell with your shareholders that are need be. Especially for BPOs, this is this is heaven sent, where this becomes your deliverables and helps you deliver things to your clients in an automated fashion. Let me go to that right now. We do have report generator. So anything that we are showing you can be created or shared via automatic processes. So we can share those dashboards and those insights through automation on different time constraints. So here's the cron job settings that you can send. Hey, this needs to come every hour on the hour, or this just needs to come the first of the month. You can design that delivery method and even send it directly to your client. So if that's via SFTP or email delivery, you can have email listservs, you can have SFTP file drops that are already pre-configured, and you just choose the report. You choose when you want it to send, and that can be sent on whatever schedule that is. 3 more pages here just to cover it, and then we'll get into some other things, some questions. Here's an example of each and every payment that happened in the IVR Finvi payment processing, giving you a breakdown of, what type of payment, how much it was is in the last column, and the frequency, those types of things. Let's see, this one is workforce optimization. So this shows how we can bring in other services into your BI and have it all in one place on one dashboard, or kind of mix it up and have it all for the individual that needs to see it. This one is just possible profanity of the agent, possible discriminatory language of the consumer, physical threat of both the agent or the consumer. So you can track that over time and see how monitoring is actually affecting the agents. You can also get in and see missed mini Miranda. If somebody missed saying the mini Miranda, you can track and see, who did what, and look at that information. And you can actually go right to the recording or the transcription and see that. We'll save that for an upcoming webinar. Let's see, 2 more. This one is an example of workforce management. So it's an adherence report. So you can see agent by agent what their total adherence is. This is pretty poor. It's just a demo account. But then you can drill down into a specific agent summary or an agent timeline of the events and series of events of when they were scheduled and when they didn't show, or they were late on a break or for work, or whatever the case may be. So that will also be a pending another webinar coming up, just focusing on workforce management. But the reporting is quite good and quite extensive. Here's just a summary report broken on scheduled activities versus actual activities and conformance of those activities and so forth. So that's probably what I better stop right there. McKay?
Thank you, Dave. And I actually wanted to just, I know we haven't heard much from Scott, and I don't know if he wanted to maybe just fill in a little, maybe like 30 seconds, if there's any insights that you wanted to share just from the Finvi perspective about how this looks. You can do that now, and I'll get some questions pulled up here while you do that.
Yeah. So thanks for going through that, Dave. I agree with everything you're saying. The call log table inside of the ground apps will still populate. I think the majority of the people on this call have seen kind of the document that shows all the CT call log table fields that are getting populated. But I want to encourage you to start to transition your thoughts to using these reports within TCN's BI tool. They're much more graphical. There are a lot more data that you have access to here that, the CT call log table is limited to those fields that we talked about. This is got a lot more possibilities. The other thing that I'll just mention is those 15-minute user stat reports. The table that stores that data isn't being populated once you transition to TCN. So it is within TCN that you would go out and look at those user stat reports once that transition happens. Those reports aren't based on the CT call log table, which is why they'll be blank past the transition. So that's why I had talked to Dave before this meeting and just said, these reports are something that I do want the user community to see and get used to and acclimated to, because it is where you would need to be going post conversion.
No, thank you, Scott, for that insight. So a couple of questions here. A user does not have access to the Insight tab. Is this by design, or will it be available later? And what is the process to activating that?
That is dependent on the permissions that user has. So
Okay.
the permission group that the user has will dictate what access levels they have, what menus and what applications, as well as what submenus and applications. So, Alessandra, if Jeff and John decide that that's part of what you will need to be taking advantage of, we can either upgrade your permission or we can add an additional permission set to your existing permission groups.
And
Thank you.
Mike, when you say upgrade, that's not got a dollar sign associated to an upgrade, right?
I mean, you could bribe me to get it done faster, but no, as far as TCN is concerned, that does not have a dollar sign.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, those, it sounds like the standard reports are available, and yeah, we'll reach out with additional information on that question. I know Scott and David both talked about this, but what is the best report to use for the 15-minute report? So like monitoring the reps statistics. Can you maybe share
Yeah.
a couple of
So
like a minute there?
specifically for the agent, it's this agent KPI report. Because it gives you, and this is on the default dashboard at the very bottom. When you log in, you can click on that and look on that, and because you get really good summary information about what the agent is doing and where that time's being spent. And so I would say that one is a great place to start. It also lets you drill down into the agent timeline, so you can see exactly what that agent is doing and when they're doing it. As far as some of the other metrics, Scott, do you want to weigh in on that? Or I'll
Sorry,
just say,
can you hear me? No, sorry,
there
I
we
had
go.
to
Yep,
unmute
you're good.
myself. No, I think what you're saying here is good, and where they should be looking for monitoring the, where the agent is during the day. The CT call log table will show, what the call results were for the day, but I know that a lot of the user community uses those 15-minute stat table to review what their reps are doing throughout the day. And so there isn't the equivalent from the CT call log table. So I would want them to come in here to look at that.
Yeah, and this, and keep in mind that's not too much to personalize this to your exact needs. So I know there's more information on here. Like we're including different states of the agent that you may not be taking advantage of. If you're putting the call on hold or not, or if you're transferring the call or not, or if you're using preview or some of these states. But really to come in here and just to have it from the get-go give you an occupancy and a utilization rate can be super helpful to help you from day one have some useful metrics for you. But they can all be personalized.
Well,
I'll
Oh,
just
go ahead,
add
Scott.
on to this. Sorry. Some of our clients take this data and they'll either email it to their supervisors or they'll email it to their clients, or some of those types of communications where somebody may not have access to this report through the portal. Can you talk a little bit about that? I know you showed the SFTP process, but just around that question, how can you schedule it so that they can see it throughout the day and email it to people that may not have access?
Yeah, I think two things real quick, and I know we're coming up, we're at the top of the hour already. So we can go into this in personal meetings. The live dashboard refreshes every 10 seconds here. So that's one way. And so if that other colleague is in the system, the best way is just to have them have a version or a dashboard that's configured for them. The second best to that, obviously, is the report generator. And just to configure whatever dashboard or snapshot they want, you just configure that and send it on whatever time frame they want using email and email configuration. So it's pretty simple for us to help set that up for you and show you how to do that.
Perfect.
All right, thank you. I know we're already past the hour, but this recording will be available. No, I
Mike,
appreciate
you
this
didn't
has
stop
been
me.
This has been a great presentation, and I think a great lesson on how we can utilize these reports as we transition and as we work with you guys to make that happen. There are questions that we will answer offline. I'm sorry we did not get to all of them, but please reach out to your Finvi CSM or your TCN account manager for if you have additional questions or need additional help on anything we've discussed today or anything else related to TCN or Finvi. Again, thank you, and please be on the lookout. We will share the recording and as for future Finvi TCN webinars. But appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.